Yeah.
Now,
the Grand National's coming up.
Excellent.
And some organisation called Animal Rising says they want to disrupt it.
The group has also called for animal lovers to take peaceful action to protect animals and nature at the biggest racing event of the year.
Joining us from Animal Rising is their spokesperson, Ben Newman, as well as horse consultant Dene Stansall. Morning to you both.
Good morning, Don. Good morning,
Now,
Andrew.
Ben, first to you. Come on, this is one of the great sporting events in British cultural life. What are you going to do? What are you trying to... How are you going to disrupt it, and why are you going to disrupt it?
Yeah, so horse racing is wrong, and we can do so much better than using animals for fun or food when we just don't need to.
So how are you going to disrupt it?
So we're inviting everyone to come down 9:30 a.m. on the 15th to the Antry race course and hope to put a stop to the race. But come on down if you'd like to know more.
No, I'm going to be putting a bet on the Grand National, so I'm not going to be joining you, I'm afraid. Ben.
Ben, I just want to ask, when you say disrupt the race, how do you intend to disrupt the race? Are you going to stand outside with a placard saying this is wrong, or, as a recent newspaper investigation into your organisation discovered, you plan to actually break into the racecourse with wire cutters, climb over the fences and actually sit on the track? I mean, that doesn't sound that peaceful to me.
Yeah, protest is a fairly common thing in a democracy, and there's nothing new about it. We'll be using our bodies, and that's all there is to it, really.
Dene Stansall, Ben says horse racing is wrong and cruel. Is he right?
He is, but I agree totally with Ben. 59 horses have been killed at the Grand National meeting since the year 2000. That's 59 horses' lives lost at the cost of entertainment and gambling. And we at Animal Aid believe that that is wrong, and that the Grand National is something that should be confined to the history books, because it is basically animal cruelty. And anyone who bets on the Grand National, whether naively or consciously of what goes on, are actually supporting that and are supporting horse killing.
Gentlemen, can I just give you a few facts on this one? Over the last 15 years, equine fatality in British racing has fallen by a third. 62% of traumatic injuries to horses happen while they are turned out in the field, i.e. as nature intended. Only 13% happen during ridden exercise. Not necessarily horse riding, but riding horses full stop. So it's by the sounds of these statistics, it's more dangerous for horses to be running around in a field than they are running horse racing meetings.
That's really a false piece of scientific evidence, and I could really cut through that if we had more time. What that didn't take into account was horses who were racing as well. Now, if we look at annually the amount of horses who are killed on British racecourses, it runs to 200 a year. And in jump racing, which the Grand National is, 1 in 58 horses who start a season within a year will be dead. 1 in 58. That's a shocking statistic. So we shouldn't disregard that and say because horses are killed in fields. I've got ex-race horses myself in fields. We shouldn't disregard the suffering that is caused to horses in racing. Just because horses die in fields as naturally as well. What we should be doing is saying, look, why are 1 in 58 horses dying in horse racing? Why aren't the racing industry going to do something about this and stop this tide of deaths? You quote that the amount of deaths have come down by a third within the last 15 years. Well, again, that's very, very poor science that you're presenting there, because what those statistics are talking about is horses who actually die on race courses. What they don't take into account are horses who get an injury during a race, are taken back to the stables, back to the training yards, and die 2, 3, 4 days later, even a month later. So those statistics that you're quoting aren't that accurate, and are being promoted by the racing industry under the guise that racing has good welfare parameters, and it doesn't. It whips racehorses, it kills them, it provides no provision for them when they leave racing. It's a shocking industry, basically built on animal cruelty, and we at Animal Aid want to see that come to an end.
Ben, just one final question for you. I mean, as I said, you are being a bit vague about the actual action you are planning to take at the Grand National on Saturday. Do you think that horse racing should be stopped, full stop, and will you continue to disrupt other meetings and indeed maybe the King's coronation, which also features horses obviously pulling the carriage?
Yeah, absolutely. We shouldn't be using animals for our own fun, so in horse racing, or in any other way. So we'll be campaigning for that.
Just to be clear, Ben, you are saying you're quite happy to disrupt the King's coronation in a few weeks' time?
We have no plans to be at the King's coronation, but in principle, the horses shouldn't be being used for that either, no.
Wow, fascinating.
Very much, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, all we do is hope that everybody that attends the National, whether you are protesting, and obviously nobody wants to see animals injured or hurt, or you are there having a good time at a race meeting, has a good and safe time. So
that was Ben Newman, Animal Rising spokesman. Thanks for joining us. And Dene Stansall, who's a horse consultant, equally opposed to horse whipping.